Breaking news today. A new accuser linked to Jeffrey Epstein has come forward, revealing details of a late-night visit by Donald Trump, an event that some would prefer remain forgotten. Why did the powerful often seem protected? What secrets are they so desperate to conceal?
Hello, and welcome to That News Show, where we discuss the latest facts, fakes, and hypocrisy as reported by the legacy media. Let's roll the tape.
So when it reports that an Epstein accuser recounted a late-night visit by Trump to Epstein's office, this raises a critical question. Why do the facts always seem to blur when powerful figures are involved? With files often sealed and the public told to trust the system, skepticism grows due to decades of cover-ups involving figures like Clinton and Epstein, among other global elites. The real issue isn't just about who visited whom and when. It's about the ongoing refusal of our government to disclose the truth. Why are we still waiting for answers, and who benefits from maintaining this silence? Buckle up, folks.
Is refusing to release. Maria Farmer is now suing the government to try to get the unredacted files about the allegations she brought forward about Epstein. President Trump has not been the target of any investigation related to Epstein, nor has he been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in this case. Maria Farmer is out front now for her first television interview, sharing her story since filing her lawsuit, and she is joined by her attorney, Jennifer Freeman. So thanks very much to both of you. And Maria, I want to give everyone a chance to understand exactly.
The heart of this story is the glaring lack of transparency from our government agencies, particularly evident in the Epstein files. Maria Farmer's lawsuit against the federal government underscores a suspicion many Americans have held for years. Bureaucrats in Washington often protect the elite at the expense of ordinary citizens. Despite Farmer's repeated attempts to alert the FBI, first in the mid-90s and again decades later, her concerns were met with indifference, leaving countless victims vulnerable. This issue goes beyond any single administration or political figure. The pattern of neglect and cover-up spans multiple decades, implicating officials and institutions meant to serve the public. The fact that Farmer's reports named high-profile individuals like Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, yet led to no substantial investigation, highlights a culture of impunity among the powerful. Consequently, trust in these agencies has plummeted. The mainstream media's selective outrage is also telling. Coverage is intense when allegations affect certain political figures, yet it diminishes when it involves the broader network of elites connected to Epstein. This double standard deepens public cynicism towards our press and government. Maria Farmer's persistence in the face of severe health issues, exacerbated by years of stress, starkly illustrates how the system fails the vulnerable while protecting the well-connected. Her attorney, Jennifer Freeman, is justifiably demanding accountability, not only for Farmer but for all ignored victims. The refusal to unseal the Epstein files raises serious questions about what is being concealed and why. It seems the American public is kept in the dark not for reasons of national security, but to protect the reputations of the powerful. This kind of elite impunity and secretive dealing erodes trust in our institutions. It is imperative that every administration, regardless of political affiliation, be held to the same standards of transparency and accountability. No one should be above the law, and no government agency should obstruct the public's right to know. The demand for transparency goes beyond partisanship. It is a cornerstone of a free society. Until these files are unsealed and the full truth exposed, Epstein's shadow will loom over the halls of power, prompting Americans to wonder who is really being protected and at what cost.
Which, Jennifer, I guess, brings me to where you are now. I know you're helping Maria now sue to get the unredacted files, unredacted government files related to her story. What do you expect these will show?
Well, we would really like to.
Yes.
Excuse me. We'd really like to understand what's in those files and because we really have never had access to them. We've been making FOIA requests. And we had to bring a lawsuit to get access to the files, as well as to hold the government accountable, which is what this suit is really about.
Access to the unredacted government files at the heart of Maria Farmer's lawsuit could illuminate the extent of elite involvement and government awareness in the Epstein scandal. For decades, bureaucratic stonewalling and selective transparency have shielded the reputations of the powerful, with successive administrations from both major parties failing to fully disclose information or hold anyone truly accountable. The necessity for Farmer and her attorney, Jennifer Freeman, to file a lawsuit after years of denied FOIA requests starkly highlights the entrenched culture of secrecy. These files are expected to expose not just names, but also detailed timelines, communications, and possibly evidence clarifying who in government and law enforcement knew what and when. The American public has observed high-profile figures, including former presidents, linked to Epstein, yet investigations have inexplicably stalled or vanished. This issue goes beyond political parties. It's a systemic problem that erodes trust in our institutions. The contrast between the current administration's vocal support for transparency and its actual practice of withholding documents is striking. The previous administration under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris promised accountability and justice for victims, but ended up perpetuating bureaucracy and excuses, even reversing promises to release grand jury testimony. This backtracking has intensified speculation about what is being concealed. The implications of ongoing secrecy are significant. By protecting the elite from scrutiny, the government implies there are different rules for the powerful and everyone else. This type of establishment protectionism and globalist influence is exactly what conservatives and libertarians have long criticized. It's no surprise that public trust in these agencies is at an all-time low. Urgent policy changes are needed. Congress should mandate the full disclosure of all Epstein-related files, with minimal redactions limited to genuine national security concerns. There must be strict penalties for agencies that obstruct legitimate FOIA requests. Additionally, the media must be held accountable for their selective coverage, ensuring that it does not vary based on the implicated party or donor. This issue will persist beyond the next election. Voters are demanding answers, and any candidate or party that fails to promote transparency risks alienating an already skeptical public. The pattern of elite impunity, bipartisan cover-ups, and globalist entanglements exposed by the Epstein case indicates a deeper rot in our political system. The battle for these unredacted files is about more than one lawsuit. It's about restoring the rule of law and affirming that no one, regardless of wealth or connections, is above accountability.
Well, like Epstein said, he inherited him in the divorce. He said, basically, you're going to see us together all the time. We're fixtures because in the divorce, I inherited Trump and Ghislaine.
CNN's coverage of Maria Farmer's allegations and the complex social dynamics in the Epstein-Trump-Ivana Ghislaine narrative raises important questions about media framing of elite associations and accountability. While CNN should be commended for airing Farmer's first-hand account, complete with a detailed timeline and specific recollections, the report has significant shortcomings in accuracy and balance. Firstly, CNN presented Farmer's claims without enough critical examination of corroborating evidence or context. Although the White House denied Trump's presence in Epstein's office, CNN did not thoroughly explore the timeline or present alternative witness accounts that might support or contradict Farmer's statements. This lack of rigorous verification risks sensationalism and could undermine public trust in the reporting. Regarding balance and objectivity, CNN's visual storytelling and editorial choices tend to emphasize connections between Trump and Epstein, while underplaying similar ties involving prominent Democrats and other elites. The segment focused on Trump's fixture status in Epstein's circle, but neglected the bipartisan nature of Epstein's network, which includes figures from both political parties. This selective coverage may reinforce perceptions that CNN's editorial decisions are driven more by political agendas than by a commitment to uncovering institutional corruption. In terms of sourcing, the broadcast relied heavily on Farmer's testimony and her attorney's statements, with minimal input from independent legal experts, former investigators, or those familiar with federal agencies. This narrow sourcing restricts the depth of analysis and prevents a complete understanding of the sealed files or the legal standards involved. Visually, CNN effectively creates a sense of urgency and drama, with close-ups of Farmer, archival footage of Trump and Epstein, and graphics that emphasize the inheritance narrative. While these techniques are interesting, they can overshadow the factual substance of the story, prioritizing emotional impact over a nuanced exploration of the facts, making the broadcast feel more like courtroom theater than a thorough investigation. A critical area for improvement is CNN's reluctance to examine the failures of previous Democratic administrations as vigorously as it does the current administration. The Biden and Harris administrations' record on transparency, especially concerning the release of Epstein-related files, is barely mentioned, despite campaign promises of accountability. This apparent double standard not only fuels partisan distrust, but also allows establishment figures to dodge tough questions that the public deserves to have answered. What is necessary is a consistent, nonpartisan demand for transparency from every administration and elite network, be it Republican or Democrat, globalist or nationalist. Americans are weary of selective outrage and media narratives that shield some while exposing others. True accountability involves illuminating all areas of the elite establishment, not just those that align with the preferred political narrative.
Building in
He
New
was
York.
absolutely in the offices.
So what do you say when they give a
He's
response
lying.
like this?
Yes. I say that they're being disrespectful to the fact that I have given up my entire life for this case just to have it investigated.
When someone dedicates decades to seeking justice, sacrificing their career, health, and sense of normalcy, only to be dismissed by those in power, it sends a chilling message about our institution's priorities. This isn't just about one office visit or a single denial. It's about a systemic failure to recognize the sacrifices of whistleblowers and victims who often pay a steep personal price. The economic repercussions of this neglect extend far beyond the legal system, eroding trust in government agencies, undermining market confidence, weakening the rule of law, and destabilizing our entire financial system. For families at home, the connection might seem remote, but consider this. When elite networks escape scrutiny, ordinary Americans bear the cost. Resources that should protect citizens and ensure fair markets are instead spent on legal battles, bureaucratic delays, and endless public relations campaigns. This misallocation not only increases taxpayer burdens, but also cuts funds for essential services like law enforcement and education. On both Wall Street and Main Street, uncertainty about whether the powerful abide by the same rules as everyone else breeds doubt. This uncertainty causes investors to hesitate, businesses to scale back, and job growth to slow. The perception of dual rules, one for the elite and another for the rest, discourages entrepreneurship and stifles the innovation that drives a healthy economy. When government agencies withhold information or obstruct investigations, it's not just a legal issue, it's a direct threat to our economic vitality. Industries like banking and insurance, which depend heavily on regulatory trust and transparency, are particularly vulnerable. If the public suspects that insider connections can trump the law, skepticism will inevitably lead to higher borrowing costs and increased premiums for working families. Meanwhile, small businesses, already burdened by inflation and regulatory challenges, face an uneven playing field. The long-term cost of this institutional failure isn't just measured in dollars, but in lost opportunities. Every ignored victim and sealed file signals to global markets that the United States tolerates corruption at the highest levels, a message our international rivals are keen to exploit, undermining American leadership and economic strength. The solution isn't more bureaucracy or global oversight. It's genuine accountability and transparency, enforced by Congress and demanded by the public. Only then can we restore faith in our institutions and ensure that the sacrifices of those who fight for justice are not in vain. That's another interesting spin by the news media. Ask yourself, why do stories get buried and questions remain unanswered every time powerful figures are caught associating with notorious individuals like Epstein? Both political parties have been less than transparent, but it's clear that the previous Democratic administration ignored these issues, protected their allies, and left working Americans to face chaos and decay. Now, under President Trump, we see a shift toward prioritizing American families over globalist agendas and corrupt insiders. If those in power won't answer to us, perhaps it's time to remind them who truly owns this country. We look forward to reading your comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you on the next one.